Hello everyone, I'm Tara, and before I get into the discussion specifics for today, let me just briefly introduce myself. I spent about 13 years in the banking and financial services industry across various functions, sales, communication, strategy, treasury. And about 5 years ago, I moved into training and learning and development. And I've been training on a cross-functional diversity of topics, behavioral topics, various other topics. And I've been training for corporates and for PG colleges. My association with Welingkar dates back almost 4 years. And we have, touched on multitudes of functional and behavioral topics through talks and through workshops. In terms of trainings that I have undergone myself, I have trained with Dale Carnegie Training, and I have also trained under Ma'am Sabira Merchant. So now coming back to my association with Welingkar and the fact that we've done an absolute diversity of topics where we have found so much relevance in our day-to-day work life, in our day-to-day growth that we actually see in ourselves as a person, as a human being, as a professional. And what's interesting is that very often we've come across topics which are absolutely unconventional. Sometimes one actually wonders, does this topic really have any relevance for the workplace? Is this topic really something we need to be thinking about consciously, something we need to be thinking about formally? This is something which is, happens, by matter of habit, or it's just something which comes naturally. Now, interestingly, like the topic that we'll be discussing today, there are a lot of things which shouldn't be discounted, which may be considered trivial, which may be considered, maybe not very professional sounding, not very formal sounding. Do they really have, this much value that we need to think about them consciously? However, they are very, very important because they are connecting into the dynamics, the rapport building that you have with your supervisors, with your subordinates, with your peer group, anyone else who forms part of your ecosystem. So please keep that in mind during the discussion today, and later on, if you put questions to which I will keep responding over the course of the next few days, then also in terms of the questions you ask, which I suggest you keep jotting down during the talk, and you can post them whenever it is convenient to you. Now, coming specifically to our topic today, it is the art of sincere and genuine appreciation. Now, why am I using the term genuine and sincere? I mean, at the end of the day, what is appreciation? Praising someone, saying you're great, saying you're awesome. I mean, how difficult can that be? How much do we need to really consciously think about that? Now, believe me, we have grown up with flattery. We have grown up with sycophancy. We have grown up with makhanbazi. But this does not work in the real world. We have to realize that extending mutual respect and offering praise is a very, very important part of building our rapport, of making another human being feel motivated, feel you have invested in them, feel like you genuinely are interested in this person as a human being, as a professional, and you are interested in cultivating a long-term, mutually beneficial relationship versus today I have some work from you. I go ahead and, you're awesome, you're great, you're always the best, you're always so helpful. And I'm only doing that so that you are, your ego is boosted, you turn around and help me immediately, and then I forget about you. Believe me, people see through these things. And even if someone is not telling you to your face, look, I know what you're saying is complete rubbish, kaam batao, okay? Even if someone is not telling you to your face, what is it that you want from me? Don't try this roundabout manner. Just tell me to my face. What work do you have? Stop praising me. Even if someone is not giving it to you on your face, they're thinking it. And if they're thinking it and they're smart enough to be filtering it, which I think most people are, then what you get from them will also be, of so much quality, of so much genuineness, of so much, time committed to it. They'll also give you a rough shot. The same way that you're throwing insincere praise at them, they will throw some insincere delivery or result at you. So let me again start by giving you a quote from Mr. Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie being a very, very prominent writer, and he wrote several motivational books, books on self-improvement. One of the books which several of you may have read is how to influence friends and how to win friends and influence people. And Mr. Dale Carnegie said that people work for money. However, they go the extra mile for praise, for recognition, and for rewards. Now, let's today not talk about the material rewards. We're not getting into the bonuses and the salaries and the etc. etc. Today, we're talking about the intangible recognition, the recognition which makes another human being feel motivated, what makes another human being feel, yes, this is a long-term relationship. Yes, the person is genuinely observed what I am, seen what my assets are, seen what my qualities are, and is hence interacting with me and giving me acknowledgement for those. So let me give you a small example before I go into more details. Now imagine if your boss comes up to you, and it has happened to so many people. Imagine if a boss comes up to a subordinate and it's a Wednesday or Thursday and he takes off. Oh, Ajay, you're fantastic and you're awesome, man, you're the best, you're my greatest team member around. What is Ajay thinking? Ajay is thinking, is he going to call me on the weekend? Is he going to dump additional work on me? This is very generic, very fake. And if Ajay's boss is not someone who has been consistently over a period of time in a specific evidence-based manner been praising him, Ajay is probably going to be thinking of all sorts of excuses he can come up with before boss comes up with his ulterior motive, which is why he's throwing this praise at him to begin with. So you see how it backfires. So praise, which is not praise, which is flattery, which is this rara, is something which is taken very negatively, and it is something which makes people say that true appreciation has become a lost art. So let's try to revive this art today. Now, this same situation which I told you, where the boss is, raving about this one guy, and this, Ajay has no interest whatsoever in what the boss has to say. Now, let me change that situation. And let's say the boss in a similar situation comes up with, Ajay, you've really been very, very valuable to the team. And I have to say that, specifically when we had the board meeting and that report had to be given at the last minute, you were so helpful and you were so resourceful and you had so much presence of mind to come up with the report and give it in for the board meeting just in time. And in fact, it was because of your report that 40% increase in budget that we were looking for was something that we actually managed to get. So that's a real asset, and I'm so happy that you are an integral part of my team. Now, what have I done in the second appreciation towards Ajay versus the first? First of all, I have made it specific. It is not you are great, you're a genius, you're fantastic. It is specific to, yes, you're good, but then it is linking into a specific event of a report for a board meeting. I have shown the relevance of how this report led to a positive result, and that is why I believe you are a huge asset. Now you see how grounded and how real that sounds versus something which is completely generic and which leads to alarm bells in a person's mind. So here Ajay would be thinking, the boss really notices what I do. The boss really remembers what I do. The boss really invests in knowing what I'm up to. The boss really invests in knowing when I am going out of my way to do something and keeps tabs on how that helps delivery and productivity as well of the department. And in a situation like this, Ajay is that much more likely to go that extra mile that Mr. Dale Carnegie was talking about. So the minute specifics come in, the minute evidence comes in, the whole impact is hugely magnified. Think about advertisements that you see on TV. Various products claiming the earth and claiming to offer you the best of this and the best of that, and the number one in this and number one in that. How many times do we hear that, right? And then think of an advert which is using specific data, specific statistics, specific science, from a verifiable entity, reputable entity. You are immediately that much more convinced and that much more bought in by someone who's going into the evidence and the specifics. So for example, recently I was reading up about a company that I think in India we're all too familiar with, Hero Cycles, right? I've been hearing about Hero Cycles right from my childhood, and of course one knows they're have entered the Guinness records as the largest producer of bicycles. But the other day I read on their website that they actually produce one cycle every 9 seconds. Now imagine someone saying, Hero Cycles is a great company. Okay, yeah, it's a great company. Versus Hero Cycles is a great company. They actually produce one new cycle every 9 seconds, and have actually in the late 80s entered the Guinness Book of World Records. Now, isn't the second statement more convincing? So when we are on the other side as consumers and we are buying into specifics, to your absolute evidence, to your facts, to your demonstration, to your examples, then why do we feel that the same philosophy would not apply in our daily interactions, in our team environments? Now, once again, another factor which Ajay's boss, going back to our Ajay example, which Ajay's boss needs to keep in mind is that praise has to be done in a consistent manner. Now, it's good to give genuine, specific praise. It's good to give praise, which really feels heartfelt and feels like you have really invested in the person. But if you only give it just before you need something extra from the person, then that again becomes very materialistic and has an ulterior motive to it. So what Ajay's boss needs to do is he needs to be giving this praise throughout. Helen Keller said something very interesting. She said, we can do only so much ourselves. We can do so much together, so much more together. Now, in our work setup, we don't work in silos. We don't work as individuals. We have to work in teams. Now, either we can expect everyone to give exactly what their job profile describes, exactly what their 9 to 5 job describes, or we can hope to get something extra from them. Now, if we want that extra to come in, we have to keep the appreciation consistent and have it over a period of time, not just one time. I don't know how many of you have heard of Zig Ziglar, who was a very, very prominent motivational speaker and celebrity. And he said something very interesting. He said, people say motivation doesn't last, but neither does bathing, which is why we recommend it daily. Meaning what? There are some things you have to do on a regular basis for the impact of those to last. So that is very important to do. Now, one of the ways in which you can do that is genuinely get to know the other person. And how do you genuinely get to know the other person? By asking them value-added questions. That is what builds trust. This person genuinely wants to know about me. What are value-added questions? Questions in response to which you will get responses to why, what, where, when, specifics. What drives this person? Everyone's driving factors and motivation factors are different. Once you have these productive conversations on value-based questions, where you're really getting to know the other person, you get to know, okay, he is really, really passionate about his child and his tennis coaching. He really wants his child to compete, become a tennis star and play competitively. When have you picked this up? When you have sat down with the person, had a chat with him, listened to what he has to say, asked him specific questions versus, batao, kya chal raha hai zindagi mein? Tell me what's going on, right? Or this person is absolutely passionate about, traveling. He loves to go to the interiors, tribal parts of the country and, experience different cultures. How did you get to know that? You got to know that because you had this interaction with the person, right? Now imagine saying, Dheeraj, you bring this, you're such a fantastic employee and you're so knowledgeable and, you know so much about the world versus Dheeraj, the fact that you travel all over and what you were telling us about that place in Arunachal, which it was so tough for you to get into, and the legacy of the time when before independence, and all this information that you got and the first-hand knowledge that you have gives you such a deep perspective into some of these aspects of our country, with some those of us who don't really have the drive to go into these tribal areas. We don't have this perspective. Now you see how the second part of the interaction with Dheeraj is actually expressing, I know about Dheeraj. I not only know that he's a great traveler, and that gives a great perspective to him. I know that because of his trip to Arunachal, where he had to do a road trip and camp somewhere in the middle of the night with rain and all of those things, whatever it involves. So this is how that trust is being built. This is how that interaction and communication is happening. Now another element of how you very, very holistically and productively can offer praise is through something called taking a person's strength, talking about a person's strength, giving the evidence, and then talking about the relevance of it. So when I gave you the earlier example, let me give you another example. I want to compliment someone on their strength. So I use SER, which is strength, evidence, relevance, and I say, you talk so convincingly, man. Anyone gets taken in by what you say. Now this is not the right way of doing it, and this is not going to be received very well. Versus, you talk so convincingly. I mean, I was observing in that meeting that we were having with the client. My God, the way you laid out, the client was so apprehensive about the cost involved, but the way you laid out the cost benefit analysis, I mean, that's what really got us to strike the deal and close the deal. So you really managed to, hold people to attention because you're so organized in terms of, how you lay out your arguments. Now you see how the second part is using this strength. I have used his strength. He talks very convincingly. I have used the evidence of this meeting with the client, and then I have taken the connection to the relevance, that you lay down your arguments so lucidly in such an organized manner that people buy in and deals get closed. Now similarly, just adding to appreciation there, I could also say, if you're giving feedback to someone and you still want to keep them motivated, because very often feedback is a very important part of appreciation, then it's a slight variation where with strength, with evidence, you also incorporate improvement, and then you talk about the relevance. So for example, you want to tell someone to improve on a little bit of his communication style. And you say, well, Dheeraj, you speak so convincingly and you're so good at speaking to clients. Now, if you could also maybe, drop your technical language a little bit and make it a little simple for lay people to understand, and maybe sometimes drop to their level of communication, then I think, people would buy it far sooner. For example, that meeting that we were having, your arguments were brilliant, your pros and cons were brilliant, but I felt that, the client did not have such a high level of English understanding and English proficiency. So some of those terms where you used very technical terms, if you could maybe just make them a little more basic, then your arguments will start closing deals even sooner. And you absolutely have the knack of doing that, and you're so impressive, and you can adapt yourself to so many different counterparties, that you can absolutely do this. Now you see, I have woven in the compliment and the improvement in this whole evidence-based manner, versus really making a person feel bad about something where he can improve. So there are these various ways which have to become very, very intuitive to us. We have to be conscious about these at all points of time. We have to offer praise in a timely manner. Now, along with consistency, I'm also mentioning timely manner, because imagine a year ago, you had someone who did a phenomenal job in closing a deal. And now you're saying, you never said anything then. You said it's part of the job. Of course, he understands, I'm very happy. You didn't really offer that appreciation or that praise. And now, 10 months down the line, you're like, oh, by the way, that deal of yours was like awesome. But by now, that person is already demotivated because you have not appreciated him, and he's gone out into the market and found himself another job, and he's ready to move on. So you see how little things of timeliness, consistency, authenticity, evidence really come into the picture and make appreciation that much more hard hitting and that much more meaningful. So this is how we have to weave in appreciation, weave in gratitude. While I'm talking about appreciation, I would also like to mention that gratitude, expressing gratitude, is again a very integral part of offering appreciation. So for example, you want to say thank you to someone. Someone gave you a book. Okay, some senior colleague came and gave you a book and said, I found this book really good, and why don't you read it? It's very inspiring. And you say, thank you sir, very nice book. Versus, sir, thank you so much for giving me that book. When I was reading it in chapter 7, I really thought that work-life balance, which was spoken about, was so valuable, and I think it really applies to our day-to-day life today. So, thank you sir, and I look forward to other suggestions from you. Now you see, now the person feels you've actually taken the trouble to, read the book. You're giving genuine gratitude. Versus, so great book. I'll tell you a personal example. Long back when I was dealing, with a production house, and I was dealing with the financial department of the production house, because I used to work with a banking and financial services firm. The production house had come out with a movie, and I had not seen the movie, but I visited the company and I was speaking to the treasurer, and I was young, and you're sometimes being a little over smart, and I said, it's a great movie. And he suddenly says, which part? And I had not seen the movie. Luckily, I had overheard my friends talking about the movie, so I could talk about some parts which I had overheard my friends talking about as funny. And then he said, and did you like that cameo? And luckily, because I had heard my friends talking about some specific actor who had a cameo in the movie, I could talk about it. But if I had not known about that, I would have been caught for insincere praise, insincere appreciation, not really, being very, very truthful or, heartfelt about it. That really made me learn my lesson that, when you're praising anything about anyone, appreciating anyone, expressing gratitude, make sure that you are really, really, you know what you're talking about. You are specifically going into specifics, making it specific to that individual, not throwing something which you throw at everyone. I mean, there are times which you will observe in the work setup where you have people where, they will give some great line to someone, the way you spoke was so inspiring, and, I really like that. And gradually people will talk to each other and they will realize that that's a line that they give to everyone they speak to. So there are these favorite lines, and suddenly people realize, okay, so that person's not really praising me. That person's actually, he goes and gives this line to everyone to get his, work done, or to make them feel great, or to massage their ego. These are things that people actually catch on to. So I will again mention a very useful method which can also be used very effectively to again build on this foundation of art of appreciation, making the art of appreciation something which is absolutely sincere and genuine. This is something called, you can think of it as defeats, which applies across various concepts. So defeats being DEFEATS, as you spell the English word defeat. And D stands for, so you incorporate defeats in any conversation to make your message that much stronger and that much more convincing and sincere to the other person. So D stands for demonstration. E stands for examples, giving examples. Your F, you have your D stands for demonstration. E stands for your examples. Then you have your F, which stands for your facts, and then you again have your E, which stands for your exhibits. A stands for analogies. Analogies when you're comparing. And then you have your T, which is testimonials. Testimonials is someone who's actually endorsing. Yes, I have experienced this. When you go on Amazon and you want to buy, you see the reviews from customers. Those are customer testimonials. So that is your T. And then you come to your S, which is your statistics. So you see, just by these simple forms, whether you're using a demonstration, whether you're using an exhibit, whether you're using a testimonial, whether you're using a statistic, the whole impact and dynamic of your interaction or your conversation with another human being becomes hugely, far more heartfelt, far stronger, something which will sustain, forever and ever. And now keep in mind, these things which I have been talking about and saying that, the person will go the extra mile for you, you will need that from time to time. And you have to reciprocate there as well. When you are the recipient of this sincere appreciation, when you are the recipient of this sincere gratitude, very genuine appreciation, then keep in mind how you can show your appreciation in return, very often not by words, but by reciprocating on that equation of going the extra mile. So if you start incorporating these little things into your interactions with people, you can definitely take the art of appreciation to a level which goes beyond just insincere flattery and just happy talk and fake talk, which is sure to backfire. So keep in mind, when you offer appreciation, mean it, be thorough about it, keep it evidence-based, and also let your actions towards that person endorse your words and not contradict your words. So I think that winds up and summarizes our discussion, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Consciously think about, some of the things I have mentioned, and see, reflect on interactions which could have been improved through this. I'm going to take a few questions which are coming up now, and let's see what people have to say. How can I tell, okay, that's Suprit asking, how can I tell if someone gives me sincere appreciation or flattery? So Suprit, as I have mentioned, you need to be observant for, does this person need something from you immediately? Chances are that if it's a piecemeal appreciation right there and then, you need to use your own understanding. Is it an immediate piecemeal work-based interaction, or is this person consistently a person who offers me this appreciation? Secondly, be very alert to, is he using general words and saying something general, or is he talking about something very specific which applies to me? He's giving me an example, he's giving me a testimonial, he's giving me some statistic, he's giving me some fact which applies specifically to me, and which is not just random nice words that he's using. Also keep in mind and see, is this person getting to know me? Is he developing that trust with me? I think a lot of these things would be indicators to you understanding, okay, is this person just, talking smooth, and is this all nice talk, meethi baatein, or is this person really genuinely appreciating me? So be very alert to those specifics, that evidence, that timeliness, that consistency. You will catch on, and you will become a lot more alert to what the other person's intentions towards you are. So Neha asks, how can I show my feelings and make my appreciation genuine? Once again, Neha, feelings at work or in any setup does not mean melodrama. Okay, so your question is very relevant, because remember when I was talking about your actions should endorse your appreciation and your words and not contradict. Now imagine someone saying, you're very good, your work is really good. Now, are my feelings in sync with what my words are or what I'm saying? Versus, you're really good. I mean, I'm so, grateful for that specific XYZ thing that you helped me out for. So how you show this to people, is very important, that you keep your emotions in sync with your words. You make sure that when you are showing sincere appreciation to someone else, you are being specific about it. And also, Neha, keep in mind that wherever you want to develop a long-term equation, you don't offer appreciation only when you need something from the person. I've repeated that several times, but if you want to genuinely show your appreciation to another person as you've asked, keep it an ongoing process. Make it an ongoing process. Don't make it need-based. That will express to the other person that this person is genuinely someone who appreciates me, and that will motivate that person to be invested in you as well. Okay, we have another question. What if somebody misconstrues my appreciation as flattery? Of course, it can happen. Arvind, you have to be mindful of, don't go overboard. You know, sometimes someone going overboard, being excessively verbose, getting very excitable about it, can put someone off, can raise alarm bells in someone's mind. So that is typically when a lot of misunderstanding happens. A lot of people get suspicious about another person. So be grounded. Don't go, oh my God, you're my best friend ever, and my God, you're the best boss ever. You know, they will catch on. Keep your emotions in sync. No melodrama. Okay, don't go overboard. Even if you have your evidence and your facts and your testimonials and whatever else in place, don't go overboard with it. You know, don't keep, now just because I've said use facts and use examples doesn't mean you start praising the person and list out 20 examples every time you're interacting with the person, you know, with a little homework piece done with you. So keep it, contained, keep it concise, keep it, balanced as far as your emotions are concerned. Keep it timely, keep it consistent. These are things which will prevent situations where your appreciation can be misinterpreted. And the best way that I have seen that people respect you as someone who genuinely appreciates them is consistency and doing it over a period of time rather than doing it only when you need it. Keep in mind, some people like appreciation publicly. Some people are very private about receiving appreciation. You know, they get embarrassed if they're appreciated too much in public. Oh God, I get embarrassed and flustered. Different personality types. Some people feel, fine, you appreciated me, but I wish you'd said it in front of the entire team. Everyone would have known, how good I am. So be mindful for what drives this person. They want it privately, they want it publicly, and then respond to these things. If you are intuitive about these things, you're mindful about these things, I don't think that, Arvind, anyone's going to misunderstand your appreciation as fake flattery. So I think we're done with the questions here, and thanks a lot for tuning in and being connected. And I hope that on a day-to-day basis you can start adopting this if you're not already. And I definitely hope that you develop some really nice, harmonious, mutually beneficial and sincere relationships by using the art of appreciation very well. Thank you.